On this week's episode, I'm joined by Mafalda Monteiro, the Senior Digital Brand Manager at Sporting Lisbon, one of Portugal's most famous, historic and biggest football clubs. We discuss, amongst other things, why this club is so very, very special to the Portuguese people and how, after 19 years, Sporting finally tasted victory. Welcome back, or welcome to another episode of Portugal, The Simple Life. And if I say I'm excited, it's an understatement. I'm really excited to be joined here by Mafalda Monteiro, wearing a beautiful green shirt. Mafalda, thank you for joining us, and how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me here. I'm glad you like the shirt.
I couldn't wear one because my colleagues at work will get upset with me, but I've got one here in the background.
That's cool.
So that'll have to do. But Mafalda, why don't you just start off by telling us a little bit about you?
Okay, so as you know, my name is Mafalda Monteiro. I'm 30 years old. I work at Sporting, as you can see, so I usually wear this to work. It's a cool benefit I have of working at Sporting. I can wear Sporting jerseys to work. Right now I live in Lisbon, Portugal, obviously. I studied in an international school in Portugal, okay, in St. Dominic's. I don't know if you know about it, but if you don't, you should definitely Google it. After St. Dominic's, I went to England to study at Oxford Brookes, business and management. So that's where I could keep my English going, and that's why I can speak a decent amount of English. And yeah, I've been at Sporting for the last 3.5 years. After having my experience in England, after having started working in England, I did my placement here at the Walt Disney Company there. So that's where my passion for entertainment started. Obviously, Disney is the renowned company that we all know of. From Disney, I went to do an internship at Havas in New York. So I stayed there for 6 months, tried a little bit of the advertising industry, which is very interesting, very creative, which is always something needed in our day-to-day lives. From New York, I came back to Lisbon. I worked at Sonai for a year, did a bit of e-commerce there. I launched the Wells e-commerce website. From Sonai, I went to RTP, and from RTP to Sporting, and that's where I am right now as a senior brand manager. So basically senior digital brand manager. So everything digital from Sporting kind of passes by me. So everything that you see on social media, on our digital platforms, that's my day-to-day job, basically.
Okay, we're going to get on to Sporting because you were really busy recently for very, very good reasons. And it's been a great year. But let's just jump back a little bit. Our listeners love to hear from our guests about their terra. You've traveled a lot. You've been all over the world, and you came back home. Where would you consider your terra in Portugal? And tell us a bit about it.
Having traveled the whole world, as you say, and then coming back home, that is also something that is very Portuguese. Okay, so we usually travel the world, and we find out that home is the best place to be. Okay, even though I've been in London. Even though I've been in New York. Why? It's the quality of life. Okay. I don't know if you want me to start to talk about my terra. So my terra is Paços de Arcos, and that's where quality of life starts. Okay. Paços de Arcos is a small town in the coast, just by Lisbon. Okay. It was a fisherman's village back in the time. And it's a really picturesque town. Okay, so it's where I grew up. It's where I lived my whole life. before moving to England and the United States. But it's a really nice town, very picturesque. It has the Palácio dos Arcos, which is basically where Dom Manuel I, or our King Manuel I, saw Vasco da Gama leave to India. Okay, so it does have a little bit of history as well. I mean, everywhere in Portugal has a bit of history. It's not hard to find history in every town here. But yeah, so that's where I grew up. It's beautiful. It's just by the coast. It has lovely weather. It's got nice beaches, and that's why Dom Manuel saw Vasco da Gama leave to India. So that's a bit of history right there.
When you traveled to all of these places and worked and studied, what did you miss about home?
What did I miss about home? I'm not sure if everyone says this, but I'm gonna have to say it. It's obviously the sun. Okay, it's the nice weather. I mean, all year round, even when it's winter, it does rain a bit, but it's not like England rain. Okay, and obviously the other big thing that every Portuguese has to miss when you leave Portugal is the food. Okay, so our food is obviously very simple. But very tasty. And that's something that you cannot find. Well, you definitely cannot find in England, okay, where the main dish is fish and chips. So in England, the way I could eat better was to eat Italian food. In New York, it was a little bit easier to eat good food. You have amazing restaurants in New York, but definitely here in Portugal, in every little corner, you have a tasca where you can eat an amazing bitoque. You have so many places where you can eat our bacalhau, which is the most known dish to everyone outside of Portugal. So the cuisine is definitely probably the main thing that we miss when we leave Portugal.
In football?
Football, thank God, is
football?
Thank God, is something that you can keep track of even when you leave the country. I never stopped watching Sporting games. I'm besides working at Sporting, I'm a big fan of the club. My grandpa was one of the cinco violinos. The cinco violinos are, I don't know if you know, Dylan, but they are basically the icons of the club. Okay? So there were five. The cinco violinos, literally translated, is the five violins. There were five players in the 40s. Okay, and they played so well together that they nicknamed them the cinco violinos.
Because they played in harmony.
They played in harmony. They played really well. They won everything they had to win when they played together. They didn't play together many years. I think it was like 3 or 4 years. But yeah, so my grandpa is António Jesus Correia, which is one of them. So I obviously have this big connection with the club besides working there now.
Wow. Okay. So Sporting is in your blood, and it was destiny that you ended up working there, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not sure. My blood might be green. My mom's blood might be green as well. So she's my grandpa's daughter. And yeah, I mean, it's inevitable to have this connection with the club.
Okay. We'll. I want to talk more about Sporting now. Let's just quickly chat a little bit about your dad. He's a regular on the podcast. Ricardo Monteiro. He always does the Proud of Portugal. He's also he must be really happy as well about Sporting as well. He's a big Sporting guy.
Yeah, he is. He's a fan of, I'm not sure he's a fan of that big of a fan of Sporting, but he is a fan of me, basically. And he loves that, especially after 19 years of not having won the Portuguese championship. Now that I'm in the club, he can see me be there whilst the club, conquers all these titles, because it's not only the national championship, but yeah, he's really proud. I'm really proud. So that's a really nice thing to have, obviously.
Well, so it's the first father and daughter combo on the podcast. So we're keeping it in the family. He's going to be next week. So after this episode is aired, it's going to be your dad doing another Proud of Portugal series. So I'm sure this might be one of the things that he's proud about is you coming on the podcast, and maybe he'll talk about sporting as well. I'll see what I can get him to do.
Yeah, you should ask him for sure what he feels.
I will. Mafalda, tell us a little bit about the history of this club. To put it into perspective, for me, I started supporting Sporting on one of my first visits to Portugal ever. I wasn't living here yet. It must have been, I'm trying to remember now, but maybe about 15 years ago. And my parents took me to see a Sporting game, and I fell in love with the whole. Actually, it was not the game, it was everything that happened around the game. And it was the little caravans, the kholoch, before the game, and you have the bifanas, still the best bifanas I've ever eaten. I don't know if it was the environment, that's why they tasted so good, with the beer and all of that, and people all sitting in their Sporting shirts talking about the game. And it was the whole spirit of everything leading up to it, and it always just felt to me like a people's club. But maybe, and so I never I've never known what it feels like for Sporting to win the league, and we've just won the league. So it's amazing. I couldn't speak to you before because you guys were all too busy over there partying and celebrating and doing all of that stuff. So I'm glad that you're
not
here.
Not gonna lie, we did party a bit.
A little bit. For legal reasons, we're not going to say how or where or when, but let's keep it there.
Let's just leave it in the air, yeah.
Exactly. But I mean, tell us a little bit about the history of this club, first of all, and how it started, and what's so special about this football club.
Okay, so the club was founded in 1906. Okay, so this year is going to be the 115th anniversary of the club. So it is a more than a century old club. Okay, and you know what makes this club different from other clubs is that we are definitely not only football. Okay, so we have more than 50 different other sports. And this year, besides actually winning the national championship for in football, we managed to be European champions in futsal and hockey as well. And fans celebrate this as much as they do the national football championship. Okay, it's really important that we give attention to these other sports as well as we do to football. Obviously, football brings closer together thousands and thousands of people. Other sports, maybe not, but we do internally give it as much importance as the football. So yeah, I mean, throughout these 115 years of existence, the club has won 23 national championships. I think it still is the only club in the world who has two academy players who have won the Ballon d'Or. Okay, so that is Luis Figo and Cristiano Ronaldo. Obviously, they are, and Cristiano Ronaldo, I mean, we're not going to lie, he's a flag of the club. He represents Sporting beyond Portugal. It's frequent to see him posting sporting stuff. He celebrated the national championship as well, which is awesome. And so yeah, I mean, the club has a really big history. We have at the moment 3.5 million followers. So the club, and growing. So the club is growing its fan base. Obviously, the titles help, and that is what we should always aim for, and what we do always aim for. But it is a club with an amazing history, and obviously besides Cristiano and Figo, which is the most recent history, I already spoke about the Cinco Violinos. They won, I think, altogether 7 championships out of those 23. So that is a lot. So yeah, I mean, we have this history that we are really proud of, that we will never forget. And it's this history that basically keeps us going.
Amazing. what are your memories of this club and supporting it as a child, and why does it mean so much to you?
So as I said, my grandpa is the big reason why we were born sporting fans already. When I say we, it's me and my three brothers. They are as big of fans as I am. They're really proud that I'm in the club as well. It's I think my whole family is quite proud that I'm keeping this legacy going. Um, but yeah, so I mean, since I can remember that we've been supporting the club. Um, my grandpa has obviously a big connection with the club, so that's where we started going to the stadium, was with him. Still the old stadium, so the stadium where we play right now. Um, Actually, I'm not sure if it started in 2002. But before that, we still watched games in the old stadium. And I've been, I still go, or I still went to the games even after my grandpa passed away, with my friends, with my brothers. It's something that has been in our life since forever. And the last championship that we won, I was 12 years old. So in terms of memory, it's very faded. Okay. The only thing I can remember is that we got into the car with my dad and with my mom, and we went to the Marquês de Pombal, just to celebrate with the fans. But that's about it that I can remember. And this championship, which is something that amazingly happened to me, I got the opportunity to go with the team, with the first team on the bus from the stadium to the Marquês. So that is an experience that it's something that was just in my dreams. It wasn't even a possibility. Not It's not a possibility to anyone, I would say. But it happens. Obviously, I be working at the digital department, I'm responsible for the social media channels. So that's how I had to go on that bus, so we can have everything documented on our phone. The TV was there as well. So yeah, I mean, it was a dream. Honestly, that day was something that I'll never forget.
Amazing, amazing. I mean, there's
Yeah,
so much interesting stuff with this championship because you've got generations of you've got groups of people that have never known what it's like to win the title.
yeah,
The coach is an ex Benfica player. So, I mean, that's just so for people listening, Benfica are our red rivals across town in Lisbon.
yeah.
So he used to play. He was a big Benfica player, and he's the trainer now for Sporting, and has won us our first title in ages. But I mean, maybe you can just put it into your own words and give us some feedback. I mean, why is this so special? There was a massive celebration
Yeah.
in Lisbon. This meant a lot to a lot of people. Why was this so special and so significant for this football club?
So more than him being an ex Benfica player, it's the whole scenario that we put together and made this happen. So basically, besides being an ex Benfica player, he's a coach. He's one of the most expensive coaches in football history. I think it was 10 million that Sporting paid for him. And he had little experience. Okay, so 19 years after not having won the championship, the club bets a lot on this new coach who has little experience. And besides betting on this new coach, we have a really young team. Okay, we have 18-year-old players, 19-year-old players. I think we have a national champion who's 16-year-old. So all the pieces put together. It was highly improbable, that we actually could be champions. So when it actually in the middle of the season, when we start seeing that it might be possible, not even we knew how to react to this properly. Okay, because it was 19 years. There is this whole generation that never saw Sporting win. So this young coach, these young players, they actually managed to renew everyone's belief in the club. Okay, and that is something that was missing in the past years. It was people believing that the club would actually be able to win the championship. And so, I mean, yeah, that's basically the renewal of hope is what happened this year. And especially after what happened 3 years ago in the academy, the scenario was dark, was really dark, and it gives another taste to this championship. People not believing that it would be possible. All the fans coming together at the middle of the season, starting to believe as well. Oh my God, this might actually be happening. Let's just unite. Let's keep all of these differences apart, and that is something that is a big difference from other seasons before as well. Is that we actually started seeing fans unite. The team started getting this feeling from the fans as well, and everything comes together really nice, and that's how it happened. It was highly improbable, but it happened, and that's the big message that this championship gives, not only to Sporting fans. I would say that this is a big message to everyone. Actually, people might have zero hope for you, but if you do come together, even with a young team, even with high, it wasn't probable. It can happen. Okay, so that is the big message.
Yeah, amazing. I love that, for whenever I've told people that I support Sporting, and they're like, "Why did you come all the way to Portugal and choose Sporting?" And I haven't been able to tell them why, because it's not been a good few years. I always make a joke with people that Sporting people are good people because we
I
suffer a
mean,
lot
yeah,
and,
we suffer, and we still support the club, and
and we
that's
still
what that's
support
what the
them.
new generation also feels like. I mean,
Yeah.
people can ask them the question, "Why are you from Sporting?" Even to me, the last time I saw Sporting being a champion was 19 years ago. I don't even remember it that well, and people, they now know exactly what to say. Okay, so we don't lose hope. We'll never give up. It can pass 10 years, 19 years. 25, 30, it doesn't matter. It'll happen again, and we'll be there. And that's a really, really important part about the club, really important part about the fans, because 19 years after not being able to win, we still had a lot of people at the stadium. So usually when a club doesn't win, you see less and less people going to the stadium, less and less fans supporting the club. But that is something that we didn't see. That Sporting didn't pass by that. We still have fans. They keep growing, and this title is going to help boost that even more.
Yeah, and the other thing that I like is so for so many years, as a Sporting fan, we've been able to point to other victories, like futsal and Formula One and other things that we've won, but we've never been able to point to winning one. And
Yeah.
now we can at least say that and it looks like it's a bright future ahead for the team as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because as I say, the club, the main where we want to start working on, or where we want to keep working on, is in the academy. It's in young players. And when you bet on young players, you are betting in the long term. You want them to develop in the club. You want them to win titles in the club and look for the future. So we're not big fans of going out there, going to get 30-year-olds to join the team, because that's definitely a short-term bet. So the more you put in the academy, the more you're going to get out of it in the long term. And I mean, Cristiano and Figo are obviously they show exactly this what I'm saying. So if you bet in young talents, you're gonna get the best out of the future. And besides Cristiano, we now have a few young players who are gonna have an amazing future.
I mean, what would your granddad have thought about this team and the
My
way they
my
played?
yeah, my granddad celebrated a lot this year. I'm sure he would be proud. I think he would be proud of me as well. As I say, I mean, it's a really important thing. When we won the title, the first thing I thought was him, was about him, and how proud he would be. Going through the stadium and seeing his pictures everywhere, because his pictures are everywhere in the stadium. We have a trofeo at the beginning of the season, which is called the Troféu Cinco Violinos. So I mean, he would be really proud. He would be really proud. I'm sure he celebrated a lot.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I think he would have been even celebrating more seeing you on the bus with the team. I think that would have been probably the happiest part for him.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
Mafalda, I mean, one of the things that really stood out to me my first few times that I watched Sporting play, but it wasn't only in Sporting, it was generally in Portugal. I found that, okay, everyone gets really passionate, and you have fans shouting at each other, but generally there's a much calmer attitude amongst Portuguese fans than what you see in a lot of other countries. And one of the things that I'll never forget was watching Sporting play against Fiorentina in the Champions League, and the Sporting fans initiated it. They went over to the away side, to where the Fiorentina fans, and they were passing scarves over the fence, and that was something that I'd never seen before, and really still sticks with me. This It made me quite proud of Portugal, and of the way that the fans welcomed the Italian fans. What else about Sporting makes you think Portugal should be proud of, that is uniquely Portuguese and is quite unique in the way that the club conducts themselves, and the fans, and the history and the culture of the club?
So I think that first of all, football is a family game. Okay, it's something that has to be. You have to deal with it as a family game. So you have to make to adapt the environment for a 70-year-old person to be able to go to the stadium, a 50-year-old person, and a 4-year-old boy. Okay, so I think that is definitely how we work. That is something that I think we should be proud of, because if you do feel that you can bring your 5-year-old boy to the stadium, it means it's safe. Football is many times associated with lack of safety, because of the extreme behavior of some groups within football. So I think that is definitely something that every club should work towards, is to make football a family game, making it. You should invite everyone to go watch the game. If you want to take your girlfriend to the game, you should be able to, and you should not be scared that something unsafe might happen. I'm saying this, and Sporting has had problems with fans, with extreme behavior. Every club has its problems with extreme ways of thinking about football. But football really should just be seen as a family event, as something that you can go on a Sunday with your kids, on a Sunday with your parents as well. And that is again, that is how we work internally. We make sure to for the stadium to be as welcoming as possible to all kinds of people. And I think that is it, and I think that is something that we should be proud of, that we are actually I think getting closer to that. Other clubs should definitely work towards that as well, making it as welcoming as possible to everyone.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. I love that about. I mean, you see it a lot at Sporting, but you see it a lot in other clubs as well. The whole family goes and watches the game, and
Yeah.
I think that's something quite unique and quite special, quite unique to Portugal. You don't see that in many other countries where it's everybody, and it's safe enough for everybody just to go and sit and enjoy the game.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
I mean, your dad does a weekly, well, a regular episode of us with Pride of Portugal. You've spoken a little bit about your brothers, that they're really proud that you're at Sporting. I mean, I think you're a bit cleverer than your others because they're in Spain. I mean, why would you want to be in Spain and not in Portugal? But I mean, what makes you proud of this country? What makes you proud to be Portuguese and to live here and come back home and have your life here?
My dad actually says this a lot, that we, as Portuguese, we are really proud of being Portuguese. And, sometimes you might go to other countries and people might not even know where Portugal is in the map. And even though that happens, we will make sure to let them know where Portugal is in the map and exactly what Portugal has done in the history of the world. That is so important, that is so big. And what makes us proud of being Portuguese is basically that we are so few, okay? We are 10 million Portuguese. And we have ambitions as big as the world, okay? So that comes back from where we, all the discoveries we did of India, etc. And we are still up for that. We are not afraid of leaving Portugal. Go check out the world, see what is out there. Make sure people know what Portugal is, where Portugal is, and why Portugal is so nice. And then, I did come back. I'm sure a lot of people don't come back. The consequences of life dictate what people do in life. But I do believe that a lot of people do come back because it's the best quality of life. Okay, it's very easy to live here. Some people don't like to go. Okay, it's easy, but just go through the hard way, and maybe you'll get more out of it. Maybe you do, but when life is easy, everything else becomes easy. I mean, everything in Lisbon, for example, is 15 minutes away. Okay, if I want to go to the beach, I drive my car for 15 minutes and I'm at the beach. If I want to go eat the most amazing dish, I get in my car and I would say it's not even 15 minutes, a 5-minute drive, not even that, maybe a 5-minute walk, and you have the most amazing dishes that you could eat. And then there's something that I definitely have not found elsewhere, which is how open we are towards others, towards other nationalities. We love having other nationalities over, as we love when we are away to teach other people what Portugal is. We do exactly the same when others come here. So if someone from England comes here, we make sure that they have the best experience possible. And I do think they have the best experience possible because the English always keep coming back. So, we have our little corner of paradise right here. And we are really proud that it is such a beautiful country with such amazing cuisine, the best national team ever, and yeah, I mean we've got to be proud of who we are.
Well, speaking of national team, we're recording this episode on the 16th of June. On the 15th, we just played a brilliant game against Hungary to start off the Euros. Nice result, 3-0 to Portugal. So yeah, but we've had it a recurring thing on the podcast where we have spoken to people that have been abroad, cameramen, photographers. We had João Garcia previously. Rui de O was a Portuguese cameraman for SICK, and a lot of the times people talk about how when they've been overseas and people don't really know Portugal, but they know Ronaldo and they know Figo. We can be really proud of that because those guys came from Sporting. So Sporting is responsible for two of the best Portuguese exports ever. I mean,
Sporting is responsible for the Euro 2016 win. Okay, that is something that everyone should have in mind. We nicknamed the team the Aurelius because they were discovered by this sporting scout called Aurélio Pereira. So they were nicknamed the Aurelius after winning the Euro. So yeah, I mean, Sporting is responsible for that. We have 3 players at the moment at the national team, but besides the 3 current players of Sporting in the national team, we have players there that have been in the academy. I mean, they came from the academy. Rui Patricio, Cristiano, William, etc. So yeah, we are very proud of that.
Falda, one thing that you want people to remember and take away from our conversation.
Okay, so it might be very specific to me, but it is something that I do want to get across. Even if it's just for this little amount of time in your life, say 3-4 years in your life, just make sure that you're actually doing what you love the most, and living in the place that you love the most. So I'm not saying that this should be for your entire life. I went abroad for a few years. I might go abroad again. We never know what the future holds. But just make sure that for this little amount of time, to make yourself lucky at that point, to live where you love the most and do what you love the most. And I'm really proud to say that at the moment I am this lucky person to be doing both things at once, and that is something that you'll take for life. Even if it ends, it's something that you'll be able to say you did, at least to your grandkids.
Beautiful, thank you. How can listeners follow you online and stay in touch with what you're up to and the work that you're doing?
First of all, do follow Sporting on social media. Okay, everything you see on there, is part. I'm responsible for that. I do post on LinkedIn a lot about my job, obviously, mostly. So do follow me on LinkedIn. It's Mafalda Monteiro. I would say LinkedIn is the best social media to follow me on.
Okay. We have thousands and thousands and thousands of listeners from all over the world who perhaps maybe haven't chosen a Portuguese football club to support. Is there anything that you want to recommend?
You should definitely follow the national champions. So that's Sporting Portugal. It's got the most beautiful color. It's green. Make sure that when you come to Portugal, when the stadiums open back again to fans, come and watch a Sporting match, and you will understand why it is the best club in Portugal.
Beautiful. Mafalda, a question that we ask all of our guests: Portugal, the simple life. Why?
Because the Portuguese are simple and honest people. I do believe that as a community, we live by the less is more phrase. You can see that in our cuisine. The most famous dish outside Portugal is bacalhau, and bacalhau is literally cooked on water with cooked potatoes and a bit of olive oil, and that's it. So I think that reflects perfectly who we are. We are very simple. We take life very simply as well. So, I mean, we are proud as well of being Portuguese. So, that's why life is simple in Portugal.
I love it. Mafalda, thank you so much. I think we could speak for a lot longer about all of these, this beautiful football club and the things around it. But I've absolutely loved this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
and
Dylan.
For now, I'm going to let you call it.
So that's a wrap.
So thank you once again to Mafalda, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment or a review. We'd love to hear from you. And as we say in Portugal, bem-vindo, welcome to the simple life.